Okay. Is there any audio? I don't hear any audio from the game on my feed.
Not on my end. I'm still hearing music.
You're still hearing music? I don't hear anything. Let me try reloading.
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine.
Okay, yeah. Game audio's up.
Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Biohazard.
I'm having difficulty trying to load the RTMP on my end.
I'm refreshing it right now. Okay, it's up on my end.
Wow. What a man.
Yeah, that timer cap is still...
Yeah, the timer capture definitely needs to be redone.
Stop it. Don't open that door.
She hasn't already started, has she?
No, we're still waiting.
Okay.
Maybe it's Chris. Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
Okay, let me handle this. Stay alert.
Biohazard.
Okay, there we go. I got it.
All right, sweet. I think we're good to go.
All right. Yeah, just tell her to reset. Give her a countdown. I imagine I'll let you take the lead for the most part.
Sure, sounds good.
Where we're searching for the helicopter.
Like, really, I'm just kind of here to sort of provide backup commentary, but, you know, since you know the game better, I'm just going to kind of let you take the lead. I'll just, like, try to fill in any dead space if there is any.
All right, great. All right, so we ready?
I believe so. Are we live?
Believe so. She's sitting on character select, so I guess I'll count her down.
Cool.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, this is Biohazard 1 Classic, where it all began. This is PC version. There's been a lot of changes in routing and techniques used in comparison to console version. This version of the game's only been runnable for about 1.5 years now due to player patching, which forces the game to run at the proper speed on modern PCs, in which case it wasn't. It was running much faster. So it's kind of new to the scene. Main differences are door skips, just like the RE2 3 PC versions, in which case IGT actually stops during those. Whether or not you skip them, IGT pauses in this version. So that makes for a lot of changes in routing and techniques.
I'm going with you.
We do have a lot of cutscenes at the beginning, so I'll take some time to explain some basics. In this game, you'll see a lot of pre-turning, which is rotating your character before running, due to the slower turn speed while running in this game. So we utilize that for small bits of time save. You'll also see something on pause canceling. This game allows you to open menu and close it during attack animations, so that cancels out recovery frames in the animation.
What is it?
which allows your character to move directly after a shot is taken. So we utilize that to our advantage. Another thing that's a bit different in comparison to the other RE games is the text scrolling is a lot slower. So to get the fastest scroll speed of the text, you want to hold the button. In the other games, people pretty much mash through them because they're very fast. So it's actually important to memorize all the length of the text in this game, so you can hold the button for maximum scroll speed, then mash out at the end.
By this creature. Anyway, let's report this to Wesker.
All right, so she is about to do what we call transition.
Wesker! Help me look for him, Jill. And don't leave this hall for the time being.
Transition, can you explain?
Okay, so really to engage the rest of the cutscene, she just needs to go behind those stairs and backpedal. And that's considered a thorough investigation as far as Barry's concerned. So the best way to do that, the optimal way is, because basically you're going to the camera border and then backing out, and that engages this cutscene here. To get that as fast as possible, you actually want to let go of the run button just before you hit the border of the camera to slow the character's momentum, so she doesn't. You don't want Jill to step too far into that camera change. Otherwise, you have more backing up to do. So to keep that nice and swift, you actually let go of run to slow the momentum, and then hit backpedal as soon as you hit the camera change. There's a little bit more to it than there appears.
I actually did not know that. Like, I've been trying to figure out how you guys trigger that transition switch so fast.
Yeah, letting go of run at the last moment is the way to do it. You can actually get a frame perfect where the camera doesn't even change, but that's very difficult. All right, so in PC version, we do acid skip route, which is not viable for console, which she's setting up for right now. So what she's doing is she's filling up her inventory intentionally before entering this next cutscene. What that does is it cuts the next cutscene short by 28 seconds when she sees Barry. If you have any space in your inventory, the cutscene is much longer and it gives you acid rounds. If you don't have room for those acid rounds, the cutscene's cut short by 28 seconds, and you have to pick up the acid rounds later when you return to the mansion. You don't see all 28 seconds of that time save due to time lost by filling up the inventory. She's going to have to then bank items when she goes and grabs the serum for Richard. And then she's also going to have to pick up the acid rounds when she returns to the mansion later in the run. When it's all said and done, if your menus are clean, it's about a 7 to 8 second time save. That dodge you just saw right there is probably the hardest dodge in the game, and she just got it. So I was glad to see that. That is really tough.
Yeah, like being able to hit that dodge without is probably, I don't know, I'd probably say that the laboratory dodge between the two zombies in the donut-shaped hallway is probably a little harder, but as far as
yeah, I would say they're both the two hardest dodges in the game. I would consider the one she just did, which we call King Henry dodge, is a little bit more precise, but the one in the labs is difficult as well. I think you have a little bit more leeway in that. But yeah, there's a safer method where you stop and you can kind of bait him. But to do it full run like she just did is actually really hard. All right, so
after shooting and it's pushing the statue, the recovery animation, like canceling the recovery animation, allows her to begin pushing the statue faster.
Right. RTA, I'd say it's a tad bit slower, but since these games are ranked by IGT, you're actually saving some time by doing that.
So the menus actually Or the game actually pauses in the menus, or it just like pauses the loads in the menus?
Right, the IGT actually pauses during the brief black moment on screen when the menu's opening and when the menu's closing. If you watch the in-game timer,
Oh, okay.
that will actually stop briefly.
So it freezes during black screens, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I believe the IGT in this game is frame-based. So if there's not active gameplay, it pauses. Also pauses during door loads, whether you skip them or not, CGI cutscenes, and strangely enough, during viewing documents, it will stop entirely. All right, so piano room. This is tricky. To optimize this room, movement's crucial, and at your exact position where you use the notes on the piano, there's optimal positioning, and if you get it, Jill will have minimal movement before the cutscene begins. If you have bad positioning, she'll correct herself very strangely. We call it Jill dancing, and she takes a very exaggerated line to get in position for the cutscene. It's actually a very technical room. It's very easy to lose time in here.
It's a little worse with Chris, because even if you put Chris in the correct position, his pathing whenever he goes to correct himself always has him move in such weird positions before he actually finally does wind up in the place he's supposed to go. So even if you approach it head on, it doesn't work correctly.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult with Chris. It's very awkward. No matter how well you get it, he's still gonna have quite a bit of animation.
Yeah. So on the PC version, do you go for the tiger statue crest first? Actually, no, you don't. Like they used to be the old.
No, yeah.
They used to be an older
We get that
PlayStation model.
after we go for tiger statue crest right after here. So we have to visit Richard first, which he sends you back for the serum. So we get it on the way back there.
This house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
So it wouldn't be worth it to do the tiger statue first, being that load times actually pause, because I believe it's a shorter running distance overall.
No, it's better to do it on the way back, because you grab the blue gem on the way here where she's at now. So if you were to double back and get that crest, it's extra backtracking, because she has to head that way now, which you'll see. She'll you actually pass right by that door, so you want to enter it then on the way back. Since she has to go grab the serum, it's really en route. So it cuts out. I mean, you have to head that way anyway, so it's best to do it all in one go. And when she grabs the serum, because of the acid skip route, she's going to have to bank all of these items. Now, the old route on console, that's not a thing. You only bank once. But she has to clear space in her inventory so she has enough room for key items to finish this mansion segment up. So she's going to be banking 4 items right now. And if you're really smooth with it, you can... I love the way this menu sounds when you nail it. And that was actually pretty smooth. It's really good.
Well, the menus actually react a lot faster on the PC version.
Yeah, they do. Menuing's a little bit more crisp. RE1 menuing overall, though, it's not quite as responsive as RE2 and RE3, the later games. I wish it was, but there's some interesting mechanics to it. When opening submenus to, for instance, to combine items, there's little delays in input that you have to adjust for. You can't just go as fast as you want. So you do have to learn those. It's a little technical.
Like, I remember one such example is actually when I saw Rod Darps run this game at SGQ. He actually, when he went to examine the Doom books to get the medals, after he got the medal out, like, he just exited and re-entered, and it wound up being faster than just like canceling out of like the 2 menus.
Right. Because you don't have to do that extra text and watch the animation plus the pause and IGT. So this is yawn dodge. Every beginner's nightmare in this game. So if she's bit, that's going to cost her about a solid minute of time. In console, it's even more due to door loads. All right, nice. She got it. Yeah, your movement has to be pretty precise in there. And Yawn has a tendency to bite early or bite late. Depending on which he chooses, you have to adjust for that on your way out. So this room with the statues, you can actually save several frames by minimizing the push distance. You don't have to go full push animations. You can cut them short as long as you're not too greedy with it. And it can actually save a good half a second or so if you cut the animation short at the right moment.
So wait, minimal push animations? Are you saying that you can like actually cancel your push animations?
Yeah, if you let go of up in the middle of a push animation, she'll actually stop pushing.
Oh.
So you don't have to go the full animation.
Oh wow, I actually did not know that. So you just like push until like the item just stop, or until the statue just like stops pushing, and then you can release and then tap it again.
Right. So like for instance, the first statue doesn't have to completely cover the drain. You can get a little bit greedy with that. So we do one full push in this version, and then as soon as the statue starts to move on the second push, you let go. And the statue will only move one tad bit, so you can actually cut those animations short. So Crow Room right there. It's a very technical room. Movements, there's a lot of text scrolling, which is kind of a technique of its own in this game. Like I said, you have to memorize the length of each text. Fastest way to scroll is to hold the button. So ideally, a runner in this game wants to memorize the length of each text and know when to mash out to get the fastest possible scrolling. Ooh, okay. So this is probably the hardest glitchless trick in this game. It's called Quick Crank. So what she did there is she avoided pushing the step ladder toward the camera, and so she kind of clips in between the step ladder and the box and pushes the ladder straight to the wall. Problem with that is not only is the clip precise, you have to actually get on that ladder as fast as you can on the very far left edge of it. And if you don't climb the ladder in the right spot, you're not going to be able to reach the crank. Then you're going to have to walk back down. It's a huge time loss. She did have a little bit of trouble getting Jill to get up the ladder, which is the hardest part of that about that trick. It's so difficult to actually get that clean.
So basically what happened was she like sort of moved up the ladder on as far left as Jill could go, or like...
Yeah, because she doesn't push the stepladder toward the camera there, and she clips in between the box and the ladder to be able to push it up to the wall. This ladder's further from the crank than what people do for the safer method. It also saves almost 2 seconds if you do it right. But because the ladder's so far away, and in this game, as you know, RE2, RE3, you can move around on a stepladder. In this game, you climb a ladder, you're stuck in position. You can only rotate, which is why it's so important that you climb up the ladder as far left of that trigger as possible. It's very precise. If you're just a pixel or two to the right, you're not going to be able to reach the crank.
I see, because you're just straight up not going to be able to move on the top of the ladder.
Right. You're going to turn toward it and realize well, crap, it's out of my grab reach. Then you got to go back down, try it again, and then you're losing massive amounts of time at that point. There's still a lot of runners that don't attempt that, and they just take the 2-second time loss, just because it's just that easy to mess up.
I see.
Yeah, killer of many runs for sure. So the box room, what she's doing right now, is pretty. If you want to get this clean, it's pretty technical on the movement. You'll notice she's trying to stick to the very corners of the boxes. That way, when she's done with that box, she can get around that corner as soon as possible. By doing that, it's easy to miss and slide past the box, in which case you're going to have to turn around. So this room takes a lot of practice to get really clean. Not too much to talk about as far as technique until she gets to Plant 42 fight. She's pretty much gonna drain the water here, go into the next room, grab the key, and she's gonna backtrack to the next boss fight coming up. Now, I'm not sure if she's gonna go for quick shots or not. This would be the least risky boss to actually attempt them on, so I hope she does go for them. Quick shots in this game, so this works in RE2, RE3 as well, and I think some of the other games also. I'm not sure about CBX. Do quick shots work in CBX?
No, they don't. Sorry, I am having technical difficulties with the restream. I tried to click back in to tap the window back in, but I paused the stream and the player just broke on me, so I can't see what's going on.
Okay. Alright, so she's coming up to Plant 42 fight. We'll see if she goes for the quick shots. How quick shots work, I'll explain during the cutscene. Okay, yes, she did hit one of the quick shots, so she did go for him. Quick shots basically allow you to increase your rate of fire to shoot faster than originally intended. So to shoot weapons in Resident Evil games, there's an aim button, and then you use the action button to actually fire. To do quick shots, you actually hold the buttons, and at certain points in between the firing animations, you have to mash and hit a very precise frame in the middle of those animations. What it does is you mash the aim button, strangely enough, not the action button. And if you're able to get your input on a specific frame, it cancels out the recovery frames of the previous shot and engages the next shot earlier than intended. So basically it's an animation cancel, allowing the next shot to take place sooner than intended. The risk is, especially with the bazooka, because it has such a slow aim and unaim animation, is if your inputs occur at the wrong time, not only do you not get the quick shot, but what we call dropping a quick shot. It's, the character will unaim the weapon, and then you have to re-aim it, which is a significant time loss. Now, if you do drop aim on that fight, it's no big deal. But I'm not sure if she's going to attempt them on the next two bosses. Probably not. Yon 2 coming up here is the next boss, and if you drop shot at the wrong time in that fight, chances are you're going to miss a shot. And if you miss a shot on him, you're going to be one round short going through the basement section of the mansion. And if you're one ammo short on that, it's major problems. You're going to lose significant time no matter what you do.
There are a lot of rooms in that mansion that we can't get into because
So I'd imagine she'll probably play it safe there. Quick shots don't really save that much time.
Okay.
If you're going for world record time, you're probably going to want to take that risk. But for the sake of this event, it's probably better to just use normal shots, considering the risk involved for the Yon 2 fight here coming up. Yon, by the way, is the giant snake. That's kind of a strange name.
It's called yawn because whenever he opens his mouth, he looks like he's yawning. That's actually legitimately the explanation.
Officially
Behind-
from Capcom. Wow, that's
Officially from Capcom, they just call it yawn.
straightforward. I like it. Okay, so she's returning to the mansion. So most of these zombie spawns are going to be replaced by hunters. As a casual player, you probably hate these enemies. In terms of speedrunning, they're actually not too bad. They're actually harder to combat than they are to dodge. The only thing you really have to know is they're all left-handed, so you want to bypass them on their right side. They're actually not too bad to deal with in terms of dodging.
Might be worth noting on the subject of combat that whenever they jump into the air to hit you, you actually have to aim up to shoot them down.
Yeah, and it's hard to react to. You don't have much time. They're pretty quick. And the scary thing about them is when they do that leap that you mentioned, they're usually engaging a kill shot. Hunters and certain other enemies in this game have a specific attack animation that will result in instant death. In the case of hunters, they'll cut your head off and then it's over. That can happen with your health as high as fine on a yellow line. So and just a bit below full health, they can actually engage that attack. Now, you don't really see it particularly happen in speedruns because the constant pace of the movement pretty much doesn't allow for them to do that. But in casual play, they're a nightmare to deal with. And if you make any significant movement mistakes, take a hit by a hunter, you do have a low risk in the run for that to happen, but usually not. But you can be near full health and they can still engage that attack, which makes them so frightening.
If you're in yellow caution or below, then it'll happen.
I've seen it happen on fine with the yellow line, like caution fine. It can actually happen.
That's what I meant. Like yellow.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just used to calling it yellow caution.
Oh, okay. I see.
But in the original game, it's yellow fine.
Okay, so this zombie on the ground, she's going to shoot. And when she goes up this elevator, she's going to shoot the other zombie. And that empties out the bazooka, which makes room for the explosive shots. So like I said, if you mess up quick shots on that snake fight and you spin an extra round, you don't have 2 rounds for those 2 zombies, which is where the problem lies. If you waste an extra round in that fight, you're going to get chomped on by one or the other. So not only is that a time loss, it's you're taking damage on top of that. Typically, you don't heal in this category, other than the very beginning. We use the fast to clear inventory space. Other than that, you don't want to heal. So you can't really afford to take too many bites unless you want, picking up healing items is really time costly, so it's really bad to mess that fight up.
But generally, because the game is pretty much 100% technique, there's very, very few instances where any enemy RNG can actually mess you up. And it's mostly like dogs, which is like very minimal time loss.
Yeah, unfortunately, the dogs in the courtyard coming up here, have many, many random patterns, and they're almost impossible to react to because you don't see them until basically you come around the corner, and you pretty much have to deal with it. Luckily, like you said, the hit animation is very short with the dogs, nowhere near as bad as getting grabbed by a zombie.
Yeah, I mean, you can still get stopped, and you can still get mopped up on by dogs, like very, very rarely. But in general, with this pattern over here coming up towards the elevator, what I usually like to do is I usually like to run wide and like not run directly for the battery box, just in case there's one dog like on the way to the battery box. Because there's always going to be two dogs here when you're playing as Jill, and if you're running up to the battery box and there's a dog there, then you just like swerve right around it.
Yeah, in the scene of the nice, she got by clean.
Yeah, it's
so
very clean run so far.
Yeah, she's doing really well. Yeah, when you're putting in the battery, like you said, there is a little bit of RNG in their patterns there as well. Now, as long as your execution is good, no matter what pattern you get, the hits are avoidable. However, once you go up that elevator and you're passing through, she got by clean this time. That's where the problems usually lie for runners, because they have a lot more places they can be. The patterns shift a lot more, and because of the camera angles, you don't really get to see, especially the second dog's position, until he's right in your face. So it's really hard to deal with.
Is that Jill?
Is that voice Enrico's?
Yeah?
You're alive!
Wait there! Are you with anybody, Jill?
Okay, so this is the Uncle Rico cutscene, as we call it.
I'm alone, but why are you asking?
This room's a big pain with Chris, because he has two hunters spawn that are guarding this crank. Thankfully for Jill, the room's empty, so you don't have to worry about that. But she's headed to the next boss fight, which this boss is skipped. We don't actually engage combat with Black Tiger, which is the giant spider. Much like Remake, you don't fight it. You destroy the webs and move on. You don't actually have to kill the boss itself. Now, it's done a little bit different in PC version, because in this version, strangely enough, there's no auto-aim cancel. I'm not sure about the English version, but for Japanese, you're forced into auto-aim. Console version, you usually hold L1 to cancel the auto-aim. You don't have that option in this version. So Black Tiger skip works a little bit differently, and it's a lot riskier.
Right, because the auto-aim is aim, but the change aim button is actually the run button on PC versions of Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Right. So you're forced to auto-aim toward Black Tiger in this. So she went for the safe method, which is really only about half a second slower, which is probably a good call. That way she can avoid the hit. Optimal method involves aiming right away as soon as the room loads, aiming to the left without over-aiming. Oh, sorry, I think I got a little bit ahead of stream here. Okay, so what you just saw is the safe way to do it. It's only half a second slower, and it means she doesn't have to take a hit. The optimal method would be aiming as soon as the room loads, and then you have to aim a little bit left, because you're going to be forced to aim at Black Tiger. And if your trajectory is right, you can shoot the webs off from the entrance of the room. Problem with that is it's more precise. If you miss, you're in big trouble. And because ammo count at this point is through the whole run, you can't really afford to miss shots on anything. It's very easy to miss the shot, and also you do take a hit. You actually take a hit in that method. The problem with that is when you take a hit from Black Tiger, you're risking the chance of poison. Luckily, she's not poisoned, so she's fine with health. If she was poisoned, basically on any percent, it's fine as long as you don't take any more hits. In the lab, if you're poisoned, you're gonna be entering there on danger, in which case a hit from anything is gonna kill you. It's either that or you cure your poison by picking up a blue herb, which is going to cost you tons of time, 7-8 seconds. It's going to be a huge time loss.
So I have a question. Was the did anyone ever figure out how the two crank works?
I don't think it's 100% figured out. It's believed to be linked to actually getting bit by Yon. The only time it's ever happened is in runs where people got bit by Yon and continued the run, or people testing actually got bit by Yon. So if that's the case, then it's not going to be a time save, obviously, because that is just a no-no. If you get bit by Yon, it's typically a reset.
Interesting.
That's about all we know. We're not exactly sure why that happens. It's very, very strange.
So just like in all the general test group, it's all bit by Yon.
Unfortunately, yes, because if we could manipulate using the crank twice instead of 3 times, that would be a significant time save. But as far as we know, it's unviable. All right, so for this computer, a lot of new runners overlook this, but you can skip the intro to it by just holding down the action button after you choose yes, and it saves about probably like 12 seconds. It's huge. Free time save. All you got to do is hold the button. Typing on this computer. Oh my god. It's very finicky. It's also a crucial point in the run. If you make a mistake on that computer, it's potentially run killing. If you type the wrong password, it's huge time lost. If you accidentally back out early, it's really okay.
That puzzle will teach you menuing.
Definitely, yeah. And don't dare use diagonal inputs because it spazzes out. So it's very stiff. It takes some practice for sure. All right, so she's going to attempt probably what I consider the second hardest dodge in the game here. Let's hope she gets it. Oh no, she didn't. It's okay. It's not easy.
It's not like a huge time loss, but she managed to do it, only getting bit twice. That could have gone a lot worse, and she could have gotten stun locked to death by the zombies.
That is a possibility. Usually you don't get stun locked, but I've seen it happen. It just depends on their exact positioning. Commonly you'll see a third, possibly fourth bite, but yeah, she got away with only 2. It's a very narrow window. Movement has to be pretty exact for that dodge to work. Again, there's a safer method for that, slightly slower, but I'm glad she attempted what was optimal. It looks really pretty when you actually pull it off. Now, if that happened, if Black Tiger happens to poison you, that would be rip run right there.
Jill.
All right, so this is by far the longest cutscene in the game. So this is leading into the final fight. In any percent, you only fight Tyrant once. 100%, you would actually have a second fight with him up on the helicopter pad. So this will be the final boss fight for this category. So we use a neat trick where so he takes 3 bazooka shots. In this cutscene, sorry about the spoilers, but if you haven't seen this game yet, well, come on now. So Wesker does die. So when he's laying on the ground, his body has collision. So we use that collision to our advantage in this fight. So what she's going to do is run around to the other side of the fight. As soon as it starts, you're going to equip the bazooka, and she'll take her shots standing next to the computer and the incubator. What this does is it causes Tyrant to get stuck on Wesker's body, so you don't have to run far away from the key and the computer, which you need to trigger to get out. It keeps your character very close to the key items and the computer without having to run far away to actually get the 3 shots. So getting him stuck on Wesker's body is the
I must
the best
complete
method
my
here.
mission as ordered by Umbrella. Barry,
100%, it's a little bit different because Wesker is not part of this cutscene, and Barry's there instead. Barry gets knocked away to a different spot in the room, so you don't have that luxury. So the fight's done a little bit differently.
Umbrella? Well, I intimidated him, but it had nothing to do with Umbrella. I just used him for my personal purposes, though both you and Barry seem to think I was following orders from Umbrella.
So a lot of people hate this cutscene in a run. It's long, so if you're on PB pace, it can be nerve-wracking. Anxiety will just eat you alive. Or you could take it as, it gives me a chance for my nerves to calm and, you know, try to collect yourself. I try to think of it that way. It's hard though. Sometimes it's just, come on, let's just do this.
You're going to steal all the research?
Better yet, I'm going to show you the tyrant.
So I'd say the worst is over. Overall, she capitalized on the critical points in the run pretty well. After this fight, you're basically just rewinding through this place and heading to the helicopter pad in the run. So from here on, she's pretty much just going to be focusing on general movement and you know, hitting optimal triggers on doors and whatnot.
Don't be upset. All weak people.
I believe there's a couple more dodges involved. The riskiest one, there's actually one room she does need to have movement on par, and it's the final 3 zombies in the game. And the final zombie, there's actually rare RNG that he can aggro early and cut your path off. We call him Rob Zombie because he is known to rob. I've seen PB paces dropped on that guy before. It's very rare, so I doubt we'll see it.
Don't come this way.
But even without the RNG, you do have to be careful with your movement. There's a few sticky parts of collision on that wall too, which makes it more risky. It's a small gap to squeeze between. If you get caught on the collision, you're probably going to get grabbed. Alright, so as you can see, Tyrant gets stuck. He actually gets stuck on the key. Well, the key and the collision from Wesker's body. But if that key's not there, that won't actually work. So key is actually part of it.
Really no.
I think it's strange that a ground item has collision. I've never known any other item in the game to do that besides this. But it definitely works to our advantage in this case. Alright, so she's coming up to the final room with enemies in it. So dodges are a little tight here. Ooh, shoot. Okay, cool. She took a minor hit on the first zombie. Luckily, Rob Zombie aggroed pretty late, so she got a pretty big gap there. If he was aggressive, that would have been probably bad news. Or at least forced her to run a wider angle to get around him.
Is that so? Jill, will you do me a favor?
So poor Barry, our favorite sidekick, is going to die. Another spoiler alert. Interesting thing, when he's checking this picture, you'll notice the IGT stops. Which I didn't notice till relatively recently, actually. So she's coming up to the final hallway here.
This is Brad. We're running out of fuel. If there is anyone alive, contact me now, okay? This is your last.
So she just needs to grab this battery, put it in, head up, and run's pretty much over. So she finished on caution with no extra healing, so that's pretty good overall. Pretty good.
What's the world record for this category?
World record's currently 38 minutes 24 seconds. And I estimate another 5 to 6 seconds possible time save left before it's pretty much fully optimized, at least with current strats.
So you heard it. 3824 by Clicks Gaming. You guys better go shoot him a follow.
Oh, should we let the credits play?
Probably not. I don't know, it probably doesn't matter too much.
Okay, we'll go ahead and skip them. You can skip the ending of the credits, and we'll just bring it to the in-game time screen. So 38:54 final time. Not too bad, not too bad. Sub 39 is considered pretty good. It's actually sub 39 is required for top 5 placement on our leaderboards currently. So overall, not too bad. I think this would be a 4th place run on the board. So it's really good. Yeah, great run, WitchRain. Very well done. That is Biohazard 1. Chill any %, no major glitches.
Be sure to follow both WitchRain and Clicks Gaming on twitch.tv. Thank you very much, Clicks.
Thank you, Carsey.
Next up is Resident Evil 2 with Insane BB, Rufus, and Dariz and Joel. It will be a 3-way race. We will be back in just a moment.
All right. Enjoy RE2, everyone.